Hello one and hello all. My name is Sunday Nancy, and this is the Bits and Pieces Guyana Cup Preview 2025. Joining me in the audio room will be cricket commentators Lenny Achaibar and Machu Achaibar. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's talk Guyana Cup.
They say when Memorial Weekend hits New York, something shifts in the air. Not just heat, not just hustle, but a calling. A calling from the land of many waters to the burrows of concrete dreams. A call to battle, a call to legacy, a call to the Guyana Cup. 8 proud franchises, each bearing the hunger and passion of a team of warriors. We've got the Long Island Raptors, swift and deadly, the Berbice Lions, proud and fierce, the Essequibo Jaguars, stealthy and precise, the Demerara Eagles, soaring with ambition, the Brooklyn Bulls, charging with unstoppable force, the NYC Rams, unyielding in their resolve, the USA-Guyana Panthers, prowling with calculated patience, and the Sharks, the returning champs waiting to sink their teeth into another feast. Divided into 2 realms of combat, each team of warriors must face their group rivals in battle, forging their path through 3 decisive encounters before the true test begins. As the Memorial Weekend sun rises over New York, cricket bats will gleam like swords, balls will thunder like cannon fire, and the spirits of legends will watch from above. Here we speak of the likes of Joe Solomon and Milton Pi Dana. The latter, by the way, will be honored by the Guyana Cup. $6,000 on the line. Winner takes all. This is the Guyana Cup, a product of New York National Cricket League, organized by Ramesh Arunasalam and Samuel Mahabir. So come, witness it, feel it, live it. The Guyana Cup.
Tonight, we're talking about the Guyana Cup, one of the premier franchise tournament that has been going on in the New York City area for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's all happening on Memorial Weekend. You need to come out to see some top class level cricket. I'm joined with Matthew Achaibar. Matt, you've been to some of these Guyana Cup events.
Yeah, the Guyana Cup is always one of the biggest tournaments around the New York cricketing calendar, especially in the Queens area. It's been going on for 3 years now. We're heading into our 4th season, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Especially, you can tell just by the amount of teams. We started out with 4 teams in 2022, and we've doubled that this year with 8 teams. So a lot more talent being showcased, and it sets up to be a wonderful tournament once again.
All right, so we will delve into straight away to the 8 teams participating in the tournament. And first of all, we want to say good luck to all the teams, Matt. When you look at you talked about the 8 teams, and we've got 8 teams, of course, zones of 4. And so we've got Group A that includes Brooklyn Bulls, Essequibo Jaguars. Remember, Essequibo Jaguars, they have been champs in the Guyana Cup 3 years ago in 2022. Queens Sharks, we'll talk a lot about Queens Sharks because they're on the verge of going for something spectacular, and you want to stick around to hear what spectacular things we're talking about when we talk about the Queen Sharks. And not forgetting the USA-Guyana Panthers. They could spring surprise in this tournament.
Yeah, and then looking at Group B, we've got the Berbice Lions, who have found themselves a bit unlucky over the last couple of years, and again we'll delve into that a little bit more. We've got the Demerara Eagles, the Long Island Raptors, and the NYC Rams. So once again, we started out with 4 teams in 2022. We've doubled that 3 years later, so sets up to be a very competitive tournament.
All right, so here we go. Brooklyn Bulls, they come out of Group A, Matt. You get the feeling that this is one of the new teams in the tournament. a lot of young people involved in this Brooklyn Bulls. What Brooklyn Bulls need to do to really come forth to be one of 6 teams to make the playoff this year?
Yeah, once again, the expansion of 4 to 8 has also led to a lot of new faces coming on the scene, and this Brooklyn Bulls lineup has got plenty of them. Another new thing with the Guyana Cup this year used to be purely a Guyanese event. We've added a couple of overseas players sprinkled here and there, and the Brooklyn Bulls have got a couple. Kyle Colasar, Kevin Augustine, 2 big names that'll stand out for the Brooklyn Bulls lineup. Once again, very young side, the likes of Ansar Yassim, Antonio Ruplal, Inzi Khan, Hayden Babulal, somebody that would have slammed a double hundred around the local scene last season. Mohammed Shah has been around for a couple of years now. Mahendra Parsram, Moin Khan would have played a big part. He's known for his bowling, but played a big part, a last wicket partnership in the final last year, if you can recall.
Yeah.
So Navir Ramsaran, another name. So very young side this, and I feel they will need to rely a lot on their youth and hope that a lot of these youngsters have a real breakout year. A lot of these guys, are destined to be very, very good players coming up. And this Guyana Cup could be the year they really break out and burst onto the scene.
Yeah, when you look at the top order, I want to think Mohammed Shah got 100. I think last week I did see on social media, might have been at Randall's Island. And so Mohammed Shah, Navir Ramsaran, they will form the top order. And this is going to be a young team. It's not going to be an easy battle for them, but here they are, Brooklyn Bulls. Welcome to the 2025 Guyana Cup. And folks, here are the Brooklyn Bulls, their roster. There you can see Ansar Yassim, Antonio Ruplal, Daryl Hira Singh, Davindra Budu, Dineshwar Budu, Hayden Babulal, you talked about him, Inzi Khan, Kevin Augustine, Kyle Kalusar, that's their overseas players, Mahendra Parsram, Mohammed Shah, Moin Khan, Navir Ramsaran, Tamil Jaikaran, and not forgetting Vijendra Gonaya. He's going to be one of the top order batsmen. So that's the Brooklyn Bulls for you folks. We wish them all the best. Let's go over to the USA-Guyana Panthers, Matto. And of course, they'll be led by Akeem Dotson. This is a chance for this team to really come good in this tournament. A lot of experience in this team. Renwick Batson, he's always been around the New York area. But let's talk about their overseas talent and some other talents in this USA-Guyana Panthers team.
Yeah, a big part of this lineup comes out of the Elite Cricket Club. And you look at 2 big Jamaicans they've brought in, Ricardo McIntosh and Yannick Elliott. Both will play crucial parts in this lineup. And one thing I find that really stands out here about the Panthers roster is a lot of the sides will usually pack spin with the conditions. But when you look at this lineup, you've got the likes of Kiefer Phil, Jason Dawes, Jason Rooney, Hugo D'Oliveira. Those 4 names in particular, that's a lot of seam coming at you. So quite the contrary to what we would normally expect, a lot of spin-heavy opposition. This team, if you can get D'Oliveira, Kiefer Phil, Jason Rooney, and Jason Dawes in a rhythm early, even if maybe 2 of those 4 can get a good 8 overs in combined, you're looking at a very menacing bowling lineup.
Yeah, folks, you're looking at the USA-Guyana Panthers. And just before we put the roster up on the screen, Matto, you mentioned something very relevant. And you talked about out of these 8 franchises, at least 5 have strong local roots. You talked about the USA-Guyana Panthers, and it has so much footprints of the elite squad that plays in the New York National League, of course, led by Renwick Batson, and then, of course, includes the likes of Akeem Dotson and the whole 9 yards. So, folks, this is the look of the USA-Guyana Panthers.
We've got Abdul Rahim, Akeem Dotson, certainly one of the bigger players on the list, Alex Rodriguez, Amir Singh, Brandon Paidana, Chetram Prasad, Darius Andrew, Hugo D'Oliveira, Jason Dawes, Jason Rooney, Kiefer Phil, Marlon Prasad, Randy Nurse, Renwick Batson, Ricardo McIntosh, Surendra Ramcharitar, and Yannick Elliott.
Yeah, it's a good squad, so we wish them all the best. Next we have up is the Essequibo Jaguars. Remember, folks, it was in 2022 that the Essequibo Jaguars were able to is that Berbice Lions?
Demerara.
Demerara Eagles into that final. And we talked about the footprints of other National League team. Where does the Essequibo Jaguar comes from?
Certainly, well, they're not competing in the National League this year, but certainly a lot of footprints in the MMZ lineup, the likes of Abdullah Saeed, Keith Eddy, Nicholas Chinku, or look not Chinku, Mark Fredericks. So certainly a very, again, a core lineup here sported by Essequibo Jaguars. They've lost a couple of names from that championship winning season 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The likes of Ronaldo Rene, Raymond Perez, that formed a big top order. Richie Looknot, who was the man, the hero for the final for them, so to speak. But they've still got a very well put together side here, once again, led by Nicholas Chinku, who has been around for them over the last couple of years. And you're looking at the new overseas additions they've added this year, and some big names, some big hitters in that lineup for sure. Abdullah Saeed and Tristan Coleman can be two destructive batters at the top. And Muhammad Ali Bajra, one of the better seamers around.
Well, I tell you what, Loknath Chinku brings so much experience to this franchise, this Jaguar franchise. And I know with the absence of, let's say, Andy Muhammad, the Kelvin Supershot brothers, they still pack a punch based on this lineup. Kevin Christian.
Yeah.
He's going to be a big man, very keen player. We've seen him so much dominating local level cricket. It's a chance for him to step up and show what he's got. Ron Johnson, he's played a couple of first-class matches for Guyana. Wahid Ward, a firm hitter of the ball. Some other young talent, Keshram Sihodan, Karamchan Ramnarain. I always think Karamchan Ramnarain is probably one of the best left-arm spinner around in this place. He's so good. Freddie Pestano, Dave Balgobin, David Lachaya. And when you talk about their under-23 talent, this is another new ingredient that has been infused into the Guyana Cup this year, the under-23 talent, Matto. When you look at Jaden Higgins and Mark Fredericks, folks, you're looking at the Essequibo Jaguars, led by Nicholas Chinku. They've won in 2022. What are the chances, Matt, of winning again in 2025?
They've got a very good chance. Certainly a new look squad from what we've been accustomed to, but still one, as you mentioned, that especially when led by Nicholas Chinku, he's such a good leader, such a good captain. So wherever he goes, a team is destined to have success. And again, this will definitely be one of the teams to watch.
So, folks, this is the Essequibo Jaguars roster. And you look at Abdullah Saeed, Bisham Suraj Narain, Brian Ajodi, David Lachaya, Devendra Balgobin, Freddie Pestano, Hayden Higgins, Karamchan Ramnarain, Keith Eddy, Kevin Christian, Keshram Sihodan, Loknath Chinku, the captain, Mark Fredericks, young player, Muhammad Ali Bajwa, Ron Johnson, Tristan Coleman. And you talked about Tristan Coleman, how impactful he can be at the top of the order. And then, of course, we've got Wahid Ward. All right, folks, we're still in Group A. And we go to a team that will be on their quest, Matt, for a three-peat. Can the Queen's Shark win in 2025 and thereby setting a record, so to speak? We know in horse racing, there's always the Triple Crown on the line. Is there a Triple Crown on the line here for the Queen Sharks?
Well, the NFL has thrown that term around a lot, three-peat, regarding the Kansas City Chiefs that failed their three-peat quest this winter against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Queen Sharks will be looking to be much more successful and complete the three-peat themselves, led by Karan Siunarayan. They've got a very powerful team, but one thing you can't help, and this is a very talented squad, but it's one thing you can't help but notice the names that they're probably missing from years past. No Raymond Ramratan anymore. No Bhaskar Yadram anymore. No Christopher Barnwell anymore, who was with them in 2022. No Telston Johnson, who was a match winner for them.
Oh, yeah, I recall.
Ronaldo Ali Muhammad is another player whose availability may be in question. Saiteja Mukamala was another name initially slated to be here. He's off on U.S. duty. So a lot of big names, a lot of their core star players will not be taking part this year or have moved on to other teams. That being said, this is still a very talented group of players.
Well, yeah, look, Dominic Ricky.
Yep.
And I'm gonna try set the batting order if Karan Narayan would allow me to. I'll set the Queen Sharks batting lineup, and then you'll see how tough this is to really crack. Dominic Ricky, he definitely will go at 1. Dino Chawinam. Have I seen Chawinam being slotted in at number 3 sometimes in some of the games?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. And you talked about Saimu Kamala. Saimu Kamala is with the U.S. national team, international team, that is playing ODI in Florida. So definitely he won't be here. It will be a miracle if we show up to the park on Saturday. We see Saimu Kamala leaving the U.S. duties to head up here to play Guyana Cup cricket, but I don't think that may happen. Trevor Henry. So you're looking at Dominic Ricky, Dino Chawinam, Trevor Henry, Naresh Rambarose, Hemindra Ramdihal. Hemindra Ramdihal, I recall a few years ago, he was with the Lions. I think he was a captain one time with the Lions squad. But you've got the 2 overseas talent in Hamza Beg and Talha Mumtaz. You still got a strong lineup, Kellon Carmichael. I remember that same year, I think, with Telston Johnson. Was that the Telston Johnson year when he did so well?
Might have been.
I thought Kellon Carmichael had a very good Guyana Cup that particular year. But other than that, Matt, the Sharks, they're going for their 3rd title. And should they and Berbice Lions get into another final this year, boy, would that be something else? Sharks, Lions, Sharks, Lions, Sharks, Lions.
Yeah.
And better yet, if Sharks wins it, it'll be Sharks, Sharks, Sharks.
Yeah.
This place is full of Sharks.
A 3-peat of victories for Queen Sharks. And if the scenario you mentioned plays out, hopefully for the Berbice Lions, it won't be a 3-peat of finals and losses. But going back to the Queen Sharks lineup, Lachman Bisram is another name I think will definitely be slotted in at the top of the order. Has had a very good season so far for Richmond Hill Liberty. And looking at their bowling attack, you've got the likes of Shamal Angel, a quick pacer. And another all-rounder who we missed was Michael Sultan. And when you run the numbers around local cricket, Michael Sultan has been one of the biggest difference makers with the ball. He's among some of the leading wicket takers across the entire New York National League. So that's, and he's a pretty big hitter of the ball as well. So Michael Sultan will certainly be a big part of this lineup.
I just want to stick a pin there. Now that you mentioned Michael Sultan, I think there are 3 types of player we talked about. One, we talked about the big names. They're known. They've proven themselves. And then also we talked about some players that are really overrated. And also we talked about some players that are underrated, that slips under the radar. Michael Sultan, he has the numbers to prove that he's probably one of the better all-rounders in the entire New York area. He's always picked up wicket and he's got some runs under his belt. Watch for him.
Yeah, and again, the slew of all-rounders continues. You mentioned the likes of Kellon Carmichael, the captain himself, Karan Sunarayan, Tamesh Prasad as well, another top all-rounder. This is a side that will rely a lot on their all-rounders and a lot on their spin attack. The likes of Ramdihal, Tamesh, Michael Sultan, as we mentioned, Dino Chawinam can bowl as well.
And the fact is, Matt, they have been to the championship twice. They're looking to go in 2025 for their 3 times. How important is that when a team has gone twice to the big dance?
Yeah, and again, even with missing players, we look at this team, and this is still one of the strongest teams in the competition. And again, you mentioned the relevancy of winning twice in a row, especially for the guys like Karan Sunarayan, who have been with this team across those 2 years that are coming back for the 3-peat attempt. It's especially important for them to be part of that winning culture, to know what it took for them to win 2 championships in a row.
And the fact is, we talked about the footprints of the National League teams. The Sharks has a big rooted background coming out from the Richmond Hill entity, one of the top clubs certainly in the National League that has access to the cage over the years, and that has to count for something. So the Queen's Sharks in 2025, here's a look at their roster. Bhumeshwar Narain, Danish Deonarain, he's the man who's done so much administrative work, and he's a player also. I've seen him play on bat matter. He's a very good player, but these days he's been on the administrative side. Chawinam, Dominic Ricky, Hamza Beg, Hemindra Ramdihal, Jamil Jackman, Kellon Carmichael, Karan Sunarayan, Lachman Bisram, Michael Sultan, Narish Rambaros, Satish Dwarka, Shamal Angel, Talha Mumtaz, Tamish Prasad, and Trevor Henry. So, folks, that's Group A. Matt, we go over to Group B.
Group B, we've got the Berbice Lions, the unlucky Berbice Lions, the Demerara Eagles, the Long Island Raptors, and the NYC Rams.
Well, NYC Rams is having their first taste, or at least in the initial stages of the Guyana Cup, Matt. Azamuddin Khan. Azamuddin Khan has played good cricket. The first time I saw Azamuddin Khan, he impressed me as a top player. And whether or not Azamuddin Khan will lead the Rams, we are not sure on that. They haven't decided their captain yet. But one of the things with the NYC Rams is that they've got 4 under 23 talent. And Matt, take a look at their under 23 talent.
Yeah, we've got Jeremy Samuel, Ethan Aparicio, Ranjiv Drujan Singh, and Jagdish Daulat Ram.
And when you look at the other members of the quad, Nishak Khan, I thought one year he made 180 something, or it might have been a double 100.
191, I believe.
191, yeah.
Came very close.
Samuel Raghubir, the off spinner, Errol Veladium, Vijendra Beer. Vijendra Beer has been churning out runs for the GT Fire, so it's a good chance for him to come good. Somesh Mangru, he bowls something that is very rare. He's the left arm Chinaman bowler. I've seen him a couple of times. And then, of course, we've got Utan Munro. Tegana McKenzie, he never gets old, the veteran, and he's still around, man. But that's the NYC Rams for you.
I find this to be a very interesting team, the NYC Rams. It's definitely not maybe a team that will immediately stand out to you. But when you actually go in depth and look at some of the players you mentioned, Azamuddin Khan, Vijendra Beer is one player I'm really excited to see how he handles this step up. He's been, like you said, he's been a major part of GT Fire's campaign over the last couple of years, has dominated that level of cricket. So now coming here to play the Guyana Cup for the first time, we'll be very excited to see him. You mentioned the experience of Tigana McKenzie, Somesh Mangru, Samuel Raghubir, one of the top spinners around near Shah Khan, another maybe one of those underrated players you mentioned earlier, Ansar Khan as well. Another player, another exciting youngster. Will be interesting to see how him and Vijendra Beer go about business. It's a team that I think has a lot of underrated players in sight, and a team that will probably it's a good enough team. I think it will allow a lot of these players to really get a fair opportunity. Whereas they go to a bigger side, they may not get to bat, they may not get to bowl. I think this side has the perfect balance of players that are really about to take that next level up.
You talked about Ansar Khan. Is he this youngster that we have seen coming up during the junior ranks? And I think he is now hitting the ball out of the park with with ease.
He's a top medium pacer as well. Good all-rounder is Ansar Khan. So, yeah, I think this is a team that could really fly under the radar, but a team that could also put together a very solid campaign.
So, folks, that's the NYC Rams, and here is a look at their roster. They haven't decided their captain yet, Matt. And that just goes to show that they're talking behind the scenes who will lead this outfit. But I'm pretty sure whoever gets the leadership, they're going to take NYC Rams onto the field in this Guyana Cup and watch for them. Their squad, Azamuddin Khan, Errol Veladium, Ethan Aparasico, Faraz Mohammed, Jagdish Daulat Ram, Jeremy Samuel, Munsami Verasamy, Mohammed Ansar Khan, Nirsha Khan, Ranjiv Drogan Singh, Ryan Manik Chan, Samuel Raghubir, Somesh Mangaru, Steve Sinclair. He's an unknown. I haven't heard anything about him. I'm not too sure about Steve Sinclair. Tigana McKenzie, Uta Munro, and Vijendra Beer. So, folks, that's the NYC Rams. We move over to the Long Island Raptors. And the Long Island Raptors, Matt, resembles a little bit of the Empire Cricket Club. And I know a lot of work has gone into this team. And they're also new kid on the block, but they've got some special talent. And look at their overseas talent, Pinak Ghosh. This is an exciting player from Bangladesh. I've seen this guy batted many times. He's a top-class player. Watch for him, Pinak Ghosh. Mario Laban could easily be one of the quickest bowler on display come this Guyana Cup in a matter of days. And Jamil Parilon, he's another top player. What you make of this Raptors side?
I think the Long Island Raptors have hit some home runs really with their overseas signings. You're allowed let's say 3 overseas signings. They've done pretty much the basic. They've got an overseas batter in Pinat Gosh. They've got a top bowler in Mario Laban, and they've got a good all-rounder in with Jamel Parilon. This is a side that would have taken part last year, and I think this is a much bigger Long Island Raptors side. It's a much more improved side. Not only with the addition of the overseas players, but look at some of the names they've added from last year as well. Ryan Shun, Rohit Dutchin. They call the man Beast for a reason. Leon Swami. I think those are some top additions, some top local additions that will really take this Long Island Raptors team to the next level.
Yeah, when you look at the Danai boys, they've been part of the minor league setup. Irshad Ali, I've read a little bit about how good he is as spinner out of Guyana. Mahendra V. Prasad. How good is Mahendra these days?
Yeah, Mahendra V. Prasad, a name that I missed, has been a big part of the Empire lineup as of late. But yeah, certainly another core member of the team that'll certainly be a big part.
Yeah, and if you look at Adrian Sukwa, I think he has kept wicket for Guyana at the youth level, so he could be the man with the gloves. Other than that, Matt, the Long Island Raptors should enjoy a very good tournament. And let's take a look at their roster.
Yeah, we've got Adrian Sukwa, Devendra Lachman, tall all-rounder. Devendra Lachman will certainly be an imposing figure. Emmanuel Sicharan, another core member. Irshad Ali, Jamel Parilon, Joshua Danai, Leon Swami, Mahendra V. Prasad. And there's 2 Mahendra Prasad, so that's why we put heavy emphasis on the V. Mario Laban, Pinak Gosh, Ramesh Kasinat, Rohit Dutchin, Ryan Shun, Samuel Mahabir, and Suresh Danai.
All right, folks. So there you have it for the Long Island Raptors. We've got a couple more teams to go, and these are the big ones, Matto. These are the big ones. All the teams are big ones, but we kind of leave some of the big ones as we get rolling down towards the end. Demerara Eagles clearly resembles a bit of the majestic lineup. Derek Narain could be at the helm of the Demerara Eagles. And I tell you what, I always refer to this unit as the team of left-handers. And here I go. Derek Narain, if he bats at the top of the order, which he usually does, Derek Narain never bats at 3. He hardly bats at 4. He'll probably start. Chandrapal Hemraj at the top of the order, left-hander, Derek and Chandrapal Hemraj. You also got the option of Shiv Sangalima, right? Not a left-hander. He could go 3. He could start. Chris Patadin. He's been the opener for however long we know Chris Patadin. Another left-hander. That's left-hander number 4. Wasim Haslim. Where do you bat Wasim Haslim? If he comes in at number 5, he's a left-hander. And then you've got to find place for Avi Danpal. You've got to find place for the 2 overseas player, Waqas Ali and Razak Patel. And then, of course, Matt, you will have to find places for the other members of this batting lineup. What do you make of the Demerara Eagles?
It's very top-heavy. And you mentioned 6 players right there. Avi Danpal, Chandrapal Hemraj, Derek Narain, Wasim Haslim, Chris Patadin, and Shiv Sangalima. If we pencil in that as the top 6, a few of those guys will definitely be batting 1 or 2 spots down from where they would normally bat. And again, you mentioned there's the overseas players. There's the likes of Waqas Ali, Razak Patel, Videsh Pal Singh is another big hitter. They've got a lot of batting. And that's maybe my only concern with Demerara Eagles is what the bowling looks like. Mark Tyrell is definitely one name that stands out. Carlos Bechu has been around quite a while. So you've got 2 experienced bowling options. But other than that, I feel it's a bit lopsided, a bit batting heavy. I mean, they've got a lot of all-rounders. Derek Narain, I'm sure, will bowl. Chandrapal Hemraj, I'm sure, will bowl. Wasim Haslim can bowl as well. Patadin and Avi Danpal can slip in a couple of overs if you need. But yeah, Videsh Pal Singh, another all-rounder. But I just feel maybe there's that genuine bowling threat that's maybe lacking a bit from the Demerara side.
Well, if your top 6 batters, Matto, can put up 210, 215, 190 in a T20 game, even your part-timers
Yeah.
can come and get you across the line. So, folks, that's the Demerara Eagles. And here's a look of their roster. Avi Danpal, Carlos Bechu, Chandrapal Hemraj, Derek Narayan, Fuse Aziz. He's always been in somebody's team. He's always around. Jason Prasad, he's an unknown. I'm not too sure who that gentleman is. Mark Tyrell, Chris Patadin, Naipal Iyana. I remember several years ago, he made a bit of headline in the Guyana newspaper for scoring a 100 Division II Berbice Cricket Board cricket competition. So he's gotta be somebody. Razak Bhai V Patel. He looks an overseas player, of course. Satrahan Singh, Shiv Sangalima. If he gets going, it's a lot of runs on the board in quick time. Vidish Paul Singh. Never underrate these spinner. Vidish Paul. He could give the ball a tap. He's a good off spinner too. Wakas Ali. Watch for some top feeling performance from Wakas Ali. He doesn't drop any catch, I'll tell you that. And Wasim Haslim, complete all-rounder. So, folks, that's the Demerara Eagles for you. And the final team for the night, Matt, we go over to the Berbice Lions. What we've got?
Where do I even begin with the Berbice Lions? Well, we can begin from we can begin in the past, and we can look at what has been an unlucky franchise over the last 2 years. Has been to back-to-back finals and has suffered back-to-back defeats at the hands or at the teeth of the Queen Sharks. And the Berbice Lions have come roaring back in 2025, and they've put together good teams in the past.
So before you move on from there, Berbice Lions is being administered and certainly run by some folks who knows to win cricket championship, Matt. The ACS crew.
Yeah.
All right, Terry Hastu and all those people involved in this Berbice Lions. That makes them a potent threat in 2025.
Yeah, and I mentioned they've come roaring back here. They've had good teams in the past, but I think on paper, this is certainly the team to beat. You're looking at this side, and there's two reasons why I'll say Berbice Lions will have to be my personal favorite to win the tournament. Not only do I think they've got the most powerful team on paper. You mentioned just the culture that is coming with the Berbice Lions, with the Everest ACS crew, that they just know how to win. Anybody that knows New York cricket will know how almost impossible and what a mountain it is to climb whenever you're up against Everest ACS in playoff competition or especially in a final. And there's a couple of names here that just reflect winning culture as a whole. Akeem Diwar is one. Karan Ganesh is one. Even a guy like Damian Jacobs, who has been part of both Everest ACS and Queens United, who have probably been two of the most successful teams in New York over the last few years. Akeem Diwar as well, formerly of Queens United. But not only in regular league cricket do they have a winning culture, they have a winning culture within the Guyana Cup itself, because they have brought in a number of players who have won the Guyana Cup itself already. Bhaskar Yadram is one, making his way over to the Queen Sharks. He has won the Guyana Cup twice. Raymond Perez would have won it with Essequibo. Neil Smith would have won it with Queen Sharks as well. And Raymond Ramratan. So you've got four guys coming from previous Guyana Cup champions on their way to the Berbice Lions.
I tell you what, this Berbice Lions team packs a punch on paper. And I'm going to try set the batting order a little bit. I'm free to do that. Let's see. Akshay Hamraj and maybe Raymond Perez could find themselves at the top. But there is a name, Kiran Krishna.
Yeah.
This young man has improved so immensely. And I want to think that to give the left-hander factor at the top of the order, Kiran Krishna might be the man, starting with Akshay Hamraj. Raymond Perez, first-class player from Guyana these days, he could slot in at number 3. You still got Raymond Ramratan and Bhaskar Yadram. Now, I want to say something about Bhaskar Yadram. Bhaskar Yadram, to date, is the best producer of anything that you want in the New York City area. Bhaskar Yadram, he's been the run machine. He's been the wicket-taking machine. And in my opinion, Matt, when you look at this top order here of this Berbice Lions, at some point, you've got to make up your mind and say, Bhaskar Yadram need to face as many balls as possible. You don't want to put him at 5. I will slot in Bhaskar Yadram maybe the latest 5. But between 4 and 5, that's where you want Bhaskar Yadram to go. What do you think?
It's such a powerful lineup. You mentioned the top 3 with Hamraj, Perez, and possibly Kiran Krishna. I also like the idea of Yadram going at 4, but there's just so much talent. Where do you put Akeem Diwar? Maybe at 5. What about Karan Ganesh? Where do you put Karan Ganesh? Where do you put Kwame Patan Jr.? Where do you put Deveshwari Prasad?
By the way,
It's a team that never ends.
Deveshwari Prasad got 100.
Yeah, he got 100 last week. Where do you put Raymond Ramratan? It's a team that's depth just never ends, does this Berbice Lions team. And that's why I would say they're my favorite to win the thing. It's going to be so difficult. But if you want to focus on the negatives, on why a team can't win, it's a short tournament, the Guyana Cup. It's not a league that spans over several months. When you have a team this powerful, when you have a team where pretty much every man on the squad, you can make a case to put in the 11, how many tries will it take the Berbice Lions to find that perfect 11? And in a tournament like this, you lose one game, you're under pressure. You lose one game, you might have to make a couple of changes, you might have to move things around. Will you ever find that perfect 11? Will you ever find the best 11? Because a lot of guys are going to have to miss out on this team.
I tell you what, the Berbice Lion, guess what? You know their opening game? You know who's their opening game? Demerara Eagles.
What better way to start?
Come Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. And where is that match being played? Folks, I'm going to tell you one of the biggest fixtures to kick this tournament off. By coincidence, is Berbice Lion will take on Demerara Eagles at Idlewild Park. Strong lineup supported by the Berbice Lions. Kwame Patan, Damian Jacobs, their overseas player. And we haven't talked about Amarnath Prasad. We haven't talked about Avin Gangadin.
We haven't talked about Anthony Adams.
Anthony Adams.
Neil Smith. We haven't really talked a lot about the bowling, but look at the bowling as well. In addition to the all-rounders, like we mentioned, Yadram and Deveshwari, Neil Smith, Anthony Adams, both around the current Guyana national team setup. Damian Jacobs needs no introduction to cricket around here. Keon Lake, Raymond Ramratan, another all-rounder. What do you do with so much talent on this team?
And Matt, all good teams or all excellent teams have a top-class wicketkeeper.
Yeah.
Francis Mendonca with the glove.
You've got several. You've got Akshay Hamraj can keep. You've got Kwame Patan can keep. Amarnath can keep. Mendonca. How on earth do you narrow this team down to 11? I'll tell you what, Terry Hastu and the crew have a lot of work ahead of themselves. I hope they know what they've gotten themselves into.
They have a good problem.
They have a very good problem. And if it's one man that can figure it out, or if it's one group of people that can figure out how to put a team together, it's the Everest ACS crew. Yeah. So here's the roster, here's the giant puzzle piece that the Berbice Lions will have to fit into 11 pieces. Akeem Diwar, Akshay Hamraj, Amarnath Prasad, Anthony Adams, Avin Gangadin, Bhaskar Yadram, Damian Jacobs, Deveshwari Prasad, Francis Mendonca, Karan Ganesh, Kiran Krishna, Keon Lake, Kwame Patan Jr., Neil Smith, Raymond Perez, and Raymond Ramratan.
Yes, folks. So that completes the all 8 teams and the Guyana Cup in 2025. 8 franchises. All will be dreaming to lift that cup for this year in 2025, Matt. Sunday afternoon at about what time? Maybe 5, 6 o'clock. We'll have a good idea who will win this championship. And we're asking you folks to witness the thrill, action-packed cricket, talented player, unforgettable moments at various venues across the New York City area, 223rd Idlewild Park, Baisley Pond Park, of course, the venue for the finals, and a couple of the major semi-finals, Drew Park, just off Van Wyck Expressway, and not forgetting Marine Park in Brooklyn.
Well, we do trust that this has been fun and informative. Be sure to come out this Memorial Weekend for some action-packed games. We thank you for listening and do take care.